Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is another Enough Already podcast. I'm Fingers Malloy. She's Tracy Connors. Thanks so much once again for joining us. I hope our American listeners had a very happy Thanksgiving. Our international listeners, Tracy, you know, we have a lot of international listeners.
We do.
Did you know that?
I was not aware.
I'm just looking at the numbers here. Want to hear the countries, the people that are listening from around the world besides the United States, Tracy Connors?
Absolutely.
The United Kingdom.
Oh,
Poland.
hello.
Poland.
I can't do that accent. Go ahead.
Canada.
I keep wanting to say good day, but we're not there yet.
No, we're close, though. South Africa.
That kind of works.
Australia.
Oh, good day.
Saudi Arabia.
Nope.
No, not going to touch that one. Portugal.
Bienvenido. I made that up.
What about menudo?
Yeah, we love menudo.
Was menudo big in Portugal?
No, I was trying to remember. Portuguese is basically Spanish and French smashed together. So I can't remember how to say welcome.
Hungary.
But I'm starving. Thanks for asking.
I see what you did there. Denmark.
Okay.
The Russian Federation. By the way, to our Russian listeners, if you could thank your comrades who hacked into our voting machines here in the United States and got Donald Trump elected, we'd appreciate that.
Yes.
Germany.
Okay.
Ireland.
Yay, the motherland.
The Netherlands.
Okay.
Brazil.
Uh-huh.
Palestine, Tracy.
Wow. That okay. I'm not gonna.
And Trinidad.
Interesting.
Yeah, so welcome to all of our international listeners, and if you like this show, please share it. If you hate this show, share it with people you hate. There you have it. Tracy, did you have a good Thanksgiving?
It was lovely.
Yeah. Did you, knowing you, I'm sure you had a plate filled with turkey, I'm guessing dark meat.
Nothing but. I just had an entire turkey to myself.
For people who aren't familiar with Tracy Connors' eating habits, she does not eat fowl.
Correct. No birds.
I don't
just
get it.
Eggs, because that means there's less birds in the world.
Well, there you go. I mean, so what do you eat during Thanksgiving if you don't have turkey? You just like pile up on the sides? Is that what?
Yes.
Potatoes and wow.
Mashed potatoes, stuffing, creamed spinach, some cranberry bread, and this year we had a special edition of cheesy grits to the mix.
Cheesy.
So I got carved out.
I've never had grits in my life.
You would enjoy them.
It just looks like a big bowl of wallpaper paste.
Yeah, but if you throw in enough cheese, anything's good.
So basically grits are a base that you just throw shit in and make it taste good? I mean, why not just eat the shit you throw it in and throw out the grits?
Don't ask me. They were just available, so I tried them, and I was like, oh, these are semi-delicious.
I'm so confused. No, you don't. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. It's actually second behind Halloween, and you know why I love Halloween, right?
Candy?
No, it's the one day out of the year where women feel like they can dress like complete hookers.
Oh, the one day.
But I love Thanksgiving because in my family, what we do is the men are in charge of the bird, Tracy.
Uh-huh.
So we throw the bird on a grill or a smoker outside, away from the rest of the family, and you can't just walk away from the turkey, Tracy, as it cooks.
Oh.
You have to watch it. Make sure it doesn't burn or anyone comes to steal it. So you have to watch it with a bottle of booze to keep you company.
And where does the television go so you can watch the football as well?
Well, you can either watch it on your phone nowadays. It's 2016, or, you know, at some point you've got to go in and start watching the game. But before that, you can booze it up outside. A bunch of men standing around outside watching a turkey cook.
God, you guys are into some real boring activities.
Oh, because you don't just sit around and drink with your friends.
Well, yeah,
That
but
never
not
happens.
make a pretense of doing something by sitting and watching a bird cook.
But you're outside
Right. I can just be outside.
with fire,
Uh-huh.
cooking.
Yeah, no, not into the cooking.
No. Cooking meat.
Yes.
So that was my Thanksgiving. And I actually do like turkey. So, but it's been 2 weeks. Oh, well, no, go ahead. You were going to.
But you didn't have turkey, right?
Well, we did the big Thanksgiving dinner on Friday. Thursday, we had steaks at my dad's house. Nothing wrong with that, right? You do like
No,
a
I
good
would have been
steak.
happy to come to that.
Yeah, we had some 2-inch thick New York strips we threw on the grill.
See, that's worthy of Thanksgiving.
And on a side, my dad's grill, the igniter didn't work.
Uh-huh.
So I had to light it with a wand. And
Your magic wand?
Yeah, magic wand. Those, those
Okay.
wand flame wand
Yes.
things. The flaming wands, that you can get at Home Depot. A flaming wand. I think that's what they call them, if I'm not mistaken.
Isn't Flaming Wand the name of that? What were you telling me? The defensive end that took out Colin Kaepernick? Is that his name?
Oh, I thought you were going to say that Flaming Wand opened for Elton John back in 1986. No, Flaming Wand. Well, anyway, I was on my 6th Jack Daniels by then.
Okay.
So I turned the gas on, and it didn't light right away. And then when it finally, the grill decided to light, it looked like a small nuclear bomb went off. And I looked at my right arm, and I thought I had a bunch of ash on my right arm for some reason for about a half a second, until I realized it singed all the hair off of my right arm.
Maybe you should open a beauty parlor that does that hair
Right?
cinch. I'm sure you could give it some kind of, this is an ancient such and such tradition. Hair removal.
For retards.
Yes. It's effective and painless, right?
Oh, it didn't feel a thing. Just felt like a brush of air go by me.
It probably smelled extremely unpleasant.
Oh, it was terrible. I washed my arm 3 or 4 times, and it still smelled like burnt hair.
Ugh.
But the steaks were fantastic. So,
All good.
But I'm just glad my, beard wasn't anywhere near there. That could have been ugly. But we missed a lot over the last 2 weeks, Tracy.
Yes, we really did.
Where do you want to start?
Should we start with the ongoing meltdown?
Sure, we can do that.
The left is melting faster than the polar ice caps.
Do you want to start with our good friend Jill Stein or the Twitter trolls? Where do you want to begin?
I think it's best to deal with the recount nonsense
Okay.
first, because that's, continuing forward at this point. I think at last I had checked in on the status of this. Jill Stein has wired something like $3.5 million to the state of Wisconsin to pay for the recount.
Now, isn't it amazing? We talked at one time during the campaign last year when Bernie Sanders was running as a revolutionary, even though he was really being a whiny bitch and not acting like a revolutionary. At least, when Jill Stein hopped into the race, I remember you saying, well, geez, she's the true revolutionary out of these people. And Bernie just turned into a pawn, a tool of the Democratic Party. And so, well, while Jill Stein is crazy, at least she's standing for something.
Yes,
But-
she believes her crazy.
Yes. But now it appears as though she is just like Bernie Sanders, and she isn't a revolutionary. She is just becoming another tool of the Democratic Party.
Pretty much. And I did have high hopes for her to be a revolutionary because, as you know, I was at the DNC and she was everywhere. And the woman I just checked, she's 66 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was tired at that thing. And she's 30 years older than me. It was hot as hell. People everywhere. So it's just miserable. But she was on the mic leading the charge, it's not about a man, it's about a movement. And she seemed fairly legit. You know, I make a perverse study of crazy people that have taken over their countries in revolutions. And she sounded just like them and was willing to call Hillary Clinton out. I think she gave Trump a run for his money as far as who trashed Hillary the most.
Yes.
But since she got so little attention, she doesn't get the credit she deserves for that. So I thought, okay, this woman is for real. And now I just think that she's insane. And this is a big ploy for money, because it's my understanding now she's raised over $7 million on this recount effort, which is double what she raised for her presidential run.
That'll buy you a beautiful beach house.
At least one. And for her, it's good luck, because I hear, you know, even though Raul Castro has been in charge of Cuba for a while, I do think she could slide in there right now, and that should be the play. She should just take that $7 million, but she's already given up 3.5 of it, and just take off for Cuba. I mean, you could buy half that island for that at this point.
Well, hasn't Charlie Rangel already gone down there and bought half the island?
It's possible. I think he retired, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got a beautiful beach house down in Cuba, I'm sure.
He had the houses in the Dominican, I believe.
Oh, well, I know that when the president, made that announcement that we were going to take a step toward normalization of relations with Cuba, there was Charlie Rangel. He was in Havana while that announcement was being made. Purely coincidental, I'm sure. Not looking around for rental property that he could buy.
Right. No, he would never, ever expand his slumlord empire outside of the United States.
We have to get into the whole Cuba thing in a little bit too, but before we do, let's the Jill Stein thing. You're seeing the Green Party now kind of step back, and they don't want to be a part of it. This whole
which is fascinating to me, because I've seen her. You know, she's getting a lot of attention, so she's trying to explain herself, because that's the number one question that I had. Like, why these 3 states, ma'am? Why are you picking Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania? There were states, they just finished counting in Michigan and certified it yesterday.
Right.
And I think the margin was something like 12,000 votes, maybe.
10,700, I believe.
Okay, there you go. Pennsylvania, the margin's over 70,000.
I don't know if you can you find 70,000 votes in a van outside of Philadelphia? Is that possible?
Well, I don't think you're understanding her contention here of what happened. And she was on our hero Kennedy's show the other night. And Kennedy said, the same question that I have, why? Why are you doing this? And her rationale is, well, we know that there was hacking all around the periphery of this election.
We do?
So that, according to Dr. Jill Stein, yes, we absolutely do. The Russians hacked the DNC, of course. They hacked Podesta, of course, even though there's absolutely, to this day, no evidence of this happening.
Right.
And it's way more likely that those things were leaked to WikiLeaks. And then one of the voter rolls in Arizona and Colorado, I believe, were potentially compromised. So she says this with a straight face, and I don't know why Kennedy didn't ask her. Okay, so you're telling me Arizona, Colorado, they had some shenanigans going on with their voter rolls. Why aren't you calling for a recount in those states, ma'am? If this is your whole evidence, is that we know that there was hacking on, around the election, therefore there might have been hacking going on with the machines in specifically Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And I'm not entirely sure that Dr. Jill Stein understands how modern technology works. Not that these voting things are completely modern, but hacking, I mean, it could be done where they put in, they load code onto the machines and then the code disappears at the end. And so there's no way to tell for sure, unless you have paper ballots that back up every piece of information that went through the machines, which some states have, some states don't. But I'm extremely confused because, I live in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And in the city of Philadelphia, they do have voting machines. I don't know that they have them at every single precinct. I know that I walked into one in 2012 on a little mission, and I don't recall seeing machines. I believe they had paper ballots that were the Scantrons, like we took the SATs on.
Good Lord. Yes.
And that's what I vote on in my suburban precinct.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also been in on the counting of the votes. So what happens is you fill in your little ballot. Then you walk over to the Scantron reader machine. Mm-hmm. There's a friendly poll worker there to just point at the machine and say you can put that in there yourself. Like, they're not even allowed to touch it. So you run it through. The counter on the machine goes up by 1. And that's the end of it. And then the paper ballots are counted at the end of the night to make sure that the total number matches the total number in the machine. And there was a video that went kind of viral leading up to the election when the right was on high alert for the hacking. And what they said is these machines are capable, some of the machines are capable of doing fractional math, which they shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? It should just be +1.
Right.
There's no reason to have plus a quarter.
Right.
So that's not happening in these machines because you're comparing the count. Right. So I have no idea where she's getting this. And I don't even think that she fully understands where she's getting the rationale because she's doing a terrible job explaining it. And then her own party comes out and says, we don't appreciate this stuff going on. It makes us look like tools for the Democratic Party.
Well, you could have just stopped at tools, but yes.
Yes.
Tools. The Democratic Party.
I mean, just because we fundamentally disagree with everything that they believe, except for potentially, at least in my case, their position on foreign policy and foreign entanglements. I agree with Dr. Jill Stein on that. Everything else, hell no. Not interested.
Calling for a recount in a state where you lost by 70,000, I think you kind of look like a tool. But what I am enjoying is just throwing out accusations that have absolutely no merit, whatsoever. You know what I'm thinking, Tracy? Donald Trump barely lost New Hampshire, and Virginia was closer than we expected it to be. I think ISIS hacked their voting machines, Tracy.
That's potentially true.
They wanted.
I mean, we won't know until we open up those machines.
Right. So I think ISIS hackers hacked the machines in Virginia, and I base that claim on absolutely nothing.
When you say ISIS hackers, do you mean that they used meat cleavers?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not talking about.
Okay,
well, I won't go there. But no, I'm talking about computer hackers, Tracy. Mm-hmm. Computer hackers. They
are really internet savvy, those guys. So yes. I'm told.
So I call today, right here, as we speak, on the Enough Already podcast, on the state of Virginia and the state of New Hampshire to have a full recount their election results based on my accusation that ISIS hacked into their voting machines. And I have absolutely
Are you going to be raising funds to take care of it?
You know what? I think I should. Maybe I'll start a GoFundMe page. And
yeah.
I don't guarantee, though, that the money will go towards a recount.
Correct.
But my intentions are good and true. So.
Well, you'll get a lot of TV time.
That would be fun. Let's start a GoFundMe page and then have Kennedy. I wonder if Kennedy, just to be able to be on Kennedy's show to talk about this.
Sure.
Mr. Malloy, I don't feel comfortable calling you Fingers. I will just call you Mr. Malloy. Why do you think there should be a recount in Virginia and New Hampshire? Well, ISIS hacked into the voting machines. What proof do you have? Well, I don't have any proof.
Well, there was a lot of hacking throughout this entire election.
Yes.
And we're not entirely sure that it was the Russians. I tend to think that it was not. And ISIS just put out a video last week about how to hack.
Yeah.
Yes, they were talking about knife attacks, but are they subtly sending signals?
So you're putting much more energy into the cover story than I would. I really don't have any proof.
Well, there's millions on the line here, Fingers.
I suppose.
But yeah, I would encourage everybody to check out the story on wearechange.org, written by the lovely Cassandra Fairbanks, who was also in the pits at the DNC with me and these nutbags. She has a full write-up on the Green Party revolt from the rest of the party, including Jill Stein's running mate, has come out against this. And they've released a statement basically saying the Green Party wants absolutely nothing to do with this. They seem to be incredibly embarrassed that this is going on. Because I don't know how you back away and say this is not meant to help Hillary Clinton at all, even though I'm going after 3 states that if they flipped would make the difference. It's just absurd. And as we said, there were states that were closer than this. And I don't know how you hack the paper ballots where I am. I really don't.
70,000 votes.
Yes. They're just never going to give this up. And I mean, they're already talking about impeachment of Trump.
Well, I will say, to be fair, that there were people on our side talking about impeachment of Hillary Clinton if she got elected. But, that had to do with the Clinton Foundation and her emails. There was actually something there other than, we don't like the guy.
Yes. He's got all these foreign entanglements and conflicts of interest. Oh. This is stunning to me. So the woman that went and shook the silver cup for spare change around the globe for the past, I don't know, when did the foundation come online? 97?
Something
took
like
in
that.
Millions. This gold-plated grifting scheme. No conflicts.
And now
None whatsoever.
We're seeing these donations dry up.
Yeah, I think their donations are down, what did I see, 37% since she won?
That's a shame.
I feel really bad for them. I don't know how. Hopefully Chelsea won't have to get remarried anytime soon. Can't imagine they'll be able to take on that kind of expense.
Well, who's going to pay for Chelsea's children's weddings? That's what. How many children does Chelsea have? Does she have?
I believe she has 2 now.
Oh boy, her kids, they may have to pay for their own wedding.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of the foundation, people are getting upset because Trump has walked back his lock her up thing, and he's contemplating just leaving her be, letting the wounds heal, moving along, blah, blah, blah. And I don't understand why people still don't get that he's basically an evil genius. And he should run everything that he does through that filter. Just think, I don't fully understand what this man is doing, but I have to trust that he's an evil genius.
He's a buffoon, Tracy.
Of course.
That's what I keep hearing. He's
He's
idiot.
a complete buffoon that can upend an entire news cycle with a tweet and bait them into talking about him instead of talking about whatever bad happened to him. The Trump University stuff came up. And then all of a sudden the cast of Hamilton decides to act foolish. And he sends out a tweet about that, making fun of them, which they don't understand, saying the theater should be a safe space. Do you really think Trump talks like that? Guys, safe spaces, therapy dogs, all this. This is what we need. So it baits him into talking about that for 3-4 days solid because they just cannot process what this man is doing. So anyway, there was a story in, I believe it's from the New York Post, that the Trump administration will pressure foreign states to probe the Clinton Foundation. And I just think this is a brilliant move. So according to the Post, the people that they're looking at to be ambassadors to certain countries where the Clinton Foundation had some shenanigans go down will be placed in their positions, and then it's anticipated that they will put pressure on the governments there to take action against them. So these governments include the Colombian government, where they had some mining deal with Frank Yustra, and Haiti. So picturing Hillary in a Haitian prison just gives me such joy.
Oh, see, I have her in the Ecuadorian embassy in London.
Yeah, I don't think the Ecuadorians would give her safe haven.
I think you're totally and completely misreading this. I mean, everything I've been told about Hillary Clinton is she's the type of person that you would want to be around and welcome into your home.
I don't know. I'm told if she has enough booze, she's really a delight to be around.
Lock up your liquor cabinet and hide your breakables.
Yeah. No, I mean, just picture her. I mean, we all know that Haiti is not the nicest place. And I just picture something like, what is that movie, Midnight Express, or the movie where he's in the Turkish prison?
Yes, that's Midnight Express.
Yeah, that's the kind of digs that she deserves.
I've seen that movie, Tracy.
That's amazing. I'm shocked.
Yeah, he gets busted for, I believe, smuggling heroin or something, and then his girlfriend with the hot rack presses her boobs up against the glass in the prison to show him. Yeah, I remember. I saw it. I did see that movie. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So just picture that remade with Hillary as the star, and it's no longer Turkey. It's now Haiti.
God, I thought you were going with that remade with Hillary pressing her boobs up against the glass.
No. Why would you think such things?
It was boob talk. I get sidetracked easily.
Yes.
Wow, Midnight Express.
Yeah.
I just wasn't expecting us to bring up Midnight Express today. That's all.
Well, there you have it. It's an incredibly disturbing film.
Yes.
But I'm wish casting now based upon that film. And I'm going to meet up with a couple of voodoo priests after the show so we can get to work on that one. But I do think that that's a great move, because then he's not dealing with it directly. Mm-hmm. So we can move on as a country and let the countries that they screwed over take care of them for us.
One by one.
Yeah. Maybe she can go to The Hague. Remember when they loved The Hague? We're going to send Bush and Cheney and all those guys. I mean, I think they only deal with war crimes there, but I'm sure we could find something.
You know, I watched the Clinton Cash movie twice when it first came out. And there was so much in that movie. It was actually hard to keep up.
Yes.
With all the swindles, all the get rich quick schemes that the Clintons had. And in a lot of ways, they're like the Clampetts. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then you millennials ask Jeeves Clampetts to understand. There's always some kind of get rich quick scheme with the Clampetts. It was the one guy wanted to be an actor, so there was always a different scheme to become famous. It just seems like the Clintons were hopping the globe with business partners trying to make money on the quick, but in their case, it actually worked.
Yes.
So,
yeah, the Clampetts only had that one striking it rich.
Yeah, they struck it rich with the gold. Who am I thinking that always had to get
with
rich
the gold?
Quick?
It was the oil.
Black gold, Texas tea.
Black gold,
yes.
Texas tea. Yeah.
Maybe it's the honeymooners. That's always a get-rich-quick scheme. I can't remember. It's going back into the 50s, 60s.
Yeah, I thought the Clampetts were just rich because they struck gold.
Yeah.
And then they were just quirky because they was hillbillies.
And the Max Baer wanted to be like a big star. Jethro. Yeah. So there was always a get famous quick scheme.
Yes.
I don't know what the hell's going on here. But no, they were just hopping the globe. Yeah. And there were so many of these stories where Bill would hop on a private plane provided to him by someone, and he'd go to like Africa, like secure a deal on a diamond mine or something, and then go to the next place where he could enrich himself. There have to be like 20 or 30 countries that could step up to the plate and say, yeah, you know what, they screwed us.
Well, the ultimate would be if the Saudis were pissed at them, and they end up in a Saudi jail. Then my Midnight Express dreams are almost true. You imagine Hillary getting stoned or lashed or something like this?
Oh. Jeez, this is terrible. Tracy, she's a grandmother.
I know.
She cares about children.
They do really good work.
Yeah, that watered-down AIDS drug that they were handing out in Africa. I mean, just you go one right down the list of areas that have been screwed by the Clinton Foundation, and who, I'm guessing weren't invited to Chelsea's wedding.
Probably not.
Ugh.
They probably got invitations, though. They strike me as those kind of people. They're like, well, the king of Saudi Arabia can't really come, but we should send an invitation so he feels obligated to send a gift.
Right.
Because it wasn't it the Qatari government that sent Bill $1 million for his birthday.
$1,000,000. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
What?
I would love to see them prosecuted by any one of those Middle Eastern countries. I just don't know how you get them extradited.
What did you get from Qatar for your birthday, Tracy?
I don't believe I got anything.
Oh.
But I have to double check because that didn't come on his birthday. If you'll remember, there was some sleight of hand or something. They have to launder it first, or
Yes.
be on the down low about how it's getting there. But we only know because it was in the WikiLeaks. So thank you once again.
I can't believe you didn't get anything from Qatar.
Our relationship is not the best these days.
Oh. Last year I got 3 ShamWows and a Snuggie.
That's really nice. Speaking of Snuggies, did you see that the new Waste book is out?
I did. That was a transition.
That was an excellent one.
Segue, yes.
Because I had just pulled up that story. So this was Tom Coburn's project when he was a congressman, and now it's been taken over by Oklahoma Republican Senator James Lankford. Mm-hmm. And I believe he calls it Federal Fumbles, which I like Waste book much better.
Yes.
So please, Lankford, think about just going back to the original name. Federal Fumbles sounds like the name of the Capitol Hill football squad. They have a softball team, right? That Barney Frank and his boyfriend played on.
I believe so. I believe they called that Federal Fundles. Fondles. Okay. Fondles, whatever. It's early in the morning.
It is. So every year they put out this report of all they try to capture all of the wasteful spending. And over at Truth Revolt, they had a little rundown of some of the most egregious spending that was going on. And there was a $1.8 million grant given to a university, which they don't name, which annoys me, that used some of the money to purchase embroidered Snuggies. So I don't know how with a straight face you can go back to the government and say, here is the breakdown of how we spend our money. Here's our audit. Here are our receipts. And when you get an embroidered Snuggie, I assume that when you buy it from television, that's not an option. Because I've never seen that advertised. Have you?
No, of course not. You have to buy the Snuggies and then send them somewhere else, probably a union shop, to have them embroidered.
Yes.
And I'm looking, for some reason I can't find this piece, or Evernote. But there was actually, in that piece that you're referring to, there were at least 1 or 2 items there where I was like, okay, I could see spending money on that.
Oh, I'll give you the rundown here of the bulleted points. So there's the $1.8 million that included the Snuggies, $315,000 on a study to find out if Americans view the court system as fair. You and I could have done that on a Twitter poll.
Right.
$200,000 spent for academics to study the average diet of Tanzanians in the 1500s.
That's the one I was looking for. Of course. You know what they fed themselves on? Embroidered Snuggies.
Fascinating. Huh.
Who knew? The more you know.
I know. $400,000 so far spent to study how Obamacare affects jobs.
No, okay, that's the one I don't have a beef with, other than if they find out information that we pretty much all know that this has been a job killer, and it's made a lot of people go from full-time to part-time jobs.
Yes.
But as long as they take that information and throw it out to the public in an honest manner instead of just looking for ways to pigeon-toe it into where it would fit their narrative, and you're laughing because you know that they're going to do everything they can with that $400,000 and say, oh, You know what? 50 million people were hired because of Obamacare. All full-time jobs.
Absolutely. It's been wonderful. It's been economically stimulative. And I don't know if you know this, Fingers, but government spending, which there's a lot of it going on in that because we expanded the Medicare rolls, that counts towards GDP. So they're going to say it's economically stimulative.
It's disgusting.
Yes. When all you're doing is laundering money and then pushing it back out. You take your little vig off the top and then the government spends it again. It counts.
No, it would be nice if we cut out the middleman and just let the private sector spend that $400,000.
If they want to.
Yes.
They could also, God forbid, save it.
People don't save in 2016, Tracy.
No, they really don't. But maybe if we had that $400,000 back, and the last one, and this is, pennies comparatively, the National Endowment for the Arts spent $10,000 to determine if performing Shakespeare without uttering his words qualifies as doing Shakespeare.
Wow.
So to me, that's what. Do they just pay somebody $10,000 to say yes or no to that question? I mean, I don't understand the methodology that would be involved in such a thing.
We need to find a new line of work.
We really do, because they say that $617 billion in grants were made by the government in 2015.
Good God.
That's over $500 billion.
Okay, so we need to come up with some sort of business entity. Well, I guess it can't really... I don't know how you would structure the kind of organization that can accept grants in a way that we could pretend to do some sort of scientific research, come up with some bullshit hypothesis, and then pretend to do research and come up with a conclusion and ask for a, $500,000? $500,000 check? Is that good for you? What?
That'll work.
I think we need to ask Lesko how to make this happen.
You and I could have found out if people think the court system is fair.
Yes. And I think we could have done it for less than $315,000.
Absolutely.
I would have done it for $250,000.
I would have done it for $10. And it's not a huge undertaking.
Well,
I can tell you right now, people don't think the court system is fair.
Okay.
I don't need it to be quantified.
Okay, but you really, and this goes back to the whole gender wage gap.
Yeah.
See, you're asking for $10. I'm asking for $250,000.
Yeah. And they would say that that's systematized sexism. It's systemic. Nope. I just would take $10 because I don't feel like stealing from my fellow citizens to provide bullshit statistics.
The money's going somewhere, Tracy. It may as well go in my pocket.
I guess. I'd rather it just stays in my pocket instead of having to leave my pocket only to go to Washington, have a chunk taken, and then come back to my pocket.
You're talking to someone who just started a GoFundMe page to raise money for a Virginia and New Hampshire recount.
Are you going to do it under any... Maybe we could get to Vermin Supreme and he could lead the charge.
Yes! There you have it. This money may not go to a recount or ponies.
We're going to buy toothbrushes for every American. Because that would be more worthwhile. And I didn't see anybody ask that crazy woman what outcome she's expecting from this.
Apparently, maybe all she's asking for is an embroidered Snuggie, Tracy.
We can do that right up.
Yeah. Who wears a Snuggie? Do you have a Snuggie? You're a woman. Do
no.
women? Why do you need a blanket with sleeves? I don't understand this. How cold is your house?
I don't know.
You can't just have a blanket on and wear a sweatshirt. No, you need the full weird blanket with sleeves. I don't... Have you seen one of these in person?
Yes. They sell them at CVS's and things.
But they're really thin.
Yeah, they're trash. And I guarantee they're highly flammable. There's something about it that makes me just think Fingers shouldn't wear one when he's setting up the barbecue.
I actually have a Snuggie.
What?
The second year of the Snark Factor, someone came up to me, Molly Teichman, who used to be part of the Snark Factor crew. She made me a custom Snark Factor Snuggie. And
that's nice. So she works for the government?
She actually made it herself. Like the whole thing,
wow.
she made herself. She didn't
Okay.
She didn't go to as the section of the store, the as seen on TV kiosk in the store, or she didn't order it online. She made it herself, and it had a mohawk for the hood that goes over your head. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Did you ever wear it?
No.
Oh.
But I appreciated the effort. It was a nice
Sure.
gesture. But I'm a guy, and guys don't wear Snuggies.
I don't think that's true.
Well, the guy on the box, I'm looking at it right now. I did find the piece that you talked about from Truth Revolt on the Federal Fumbles. Was it Federal Fumbles?
Yes.
Awful. And there's a guy on the box of the Snuggie.
And you're telling me he's the only man that's ever actually worn one?
Yes. I'm going on record right now. He's the only guy that's ever worn a Snuggie.
I'm going to tell you that I have evidence to the contrary.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No.
You have family
Photographic evidence. No, but when I was working on Holly's World, we had to go to UFC headquarters to film with Dana White. And on the way, we stopped at CVS. And my good buddy, the DP, decided that he was going to purchase a Snuggie.
What's a DP?
And wear it on set. The director of photography.
Okay, thank you. Not
So
all
he
of us are
bought
in the
one.
business, Tracy.
Right. Baby blue with white puffy clouds. And he wore the shit out of that thing.
Where?
Just for a day. Around the parking lot and in the car on the between.
Do they have a
setup.
zipper?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's basically a sleeping bag with leg holes and arm holes.
So you walk around looking like some kind of weird Obi-Wan Kenobi with...
In Vegas. It's the best place to do that.
Wow.
Why not? I don't know if he ever put it on again, but it was funny for an afternoon.
Okay, so he wore it as a costume.
Yes.
It wasn't because he had to chill.
No.
Okay. Well, that I guess I can understand.
Yeah. It's just something that's ridiculous, and they're $15-$20.
But he didn't get it from the National Science Foundation.
No, just CVS.
Huh. And it wasn't embroidered.
No. But we probably could have gotten it embroidered if we wanted to. There's lots of little embroidery kiosks about. So that's what I picture.
My guess too, they spent the National Science Foundation spent $1.8 million to get these Snuggies and have them embroidered. I'm guessing they had the person that was responsible for this had a friend that owned an embroidery shop.
Yeah.
And,
or they themselves owned it.
Yeah, or they themselves owned it. And probably this was only 100 Snuggies.
They're saying that this was just a portion of their spending. So the entire $1.8 million was not spent.
Oh, I thought $1.8 million was spent on just on Snuggies. Because that would surprise me.
Feel ridiculous about putting in receipts to the government, because I assume that when you get one of these grants, you have to account for the spending. That's why we know about these ridiculous things, including the Snuggies. Well, somebody was just like,
why should they? I mean, we accidentally found out about the House bank scandal. I mean, you had congressmen just writing checks and cashing them.
It's absurd.
I mean, if you have that happen, and it took a long time for them to get caught, why would you think twice about taking your Snuggie receipts in? Be like, hey, I want my money.
Yeah, this is how we spent everybody else's money. Thanks, guys.
It just has to be if you go to Washington and you work for some sort of government agency, some department, that's just the mentality. Just has to be. Just like, sure, it's not my money. It just the money, it just comes into the town. It's okay. Yeah, there'll be more.
Oh. Yeah, you don't have to picture the people going to work every day to earn that money that then you're spending on your embroidered Snuggie.
That, by the way, that embroidered Snuggie is probably exactly where my custom-made Snuggie is right now. Tucked
in a landfill?
Yeah, probably. Mine's not in a landfill, Molly Teichman, if you're listening.
Oh, that's good.
It's in a closet
But
somewhere.
These are the kind of things that I would assume somebody's going to eventually stick that report in front of Trump. And will be treated to a series of tweets about how absurd this is. And maybe this stuff will stop, or at least slow down a little bit.
I don't know if it'll fully stop. It'll ever fully stop. But, yes, hopefully they will be shamed into,
well,
at the very least, not buying Snuggies.
Whoever did that should never be eligible to receive another federal grant. Period.
We should have a grant czar.
Mm-hmm.
You know how
good.
We love czars. We love czars. Well, if this, I wouldn't mind having a grant czar if it actually meant something, instead of just giving someone a title and have them pretend to do. If you actually had a grant czar and all he did was, hey, you know what? John Phillips is here. He's got a request in to have a 1.8 million. No. But no, I haven't heard what the grant is. No. If that's
so all, you're saying that we should bring Dr. Ron Paul back to do this?
Yes.
Dr. No.
It's just no. We got a guy here for a grant. No. That's the grant czar's job, just to say no.
Yes, but oh my God, I just picture the Democrats being like, we've cut the budget to the bone. And we're going to find out today, I believe it is, they're going to have the leadership vote for the Democrats in the House.
Oh, boy.
So
by the time this podcast has been released, people will know if Nancy Pelosi is the minority leader.
Yes. Fingers crossed.
Right?
I hope so.
There's no way that the left learns its lesson. No. And moves more to the center. Mm-mm. They're going to go even further left.
Yes.
So rather than trying to put up, and I don't know much about there was one person, I believe, wasn't he from Pennsylvania, that was going to challenge Pelosi?
I think he's Ohio.
I don't know much about him, but I have to believe the only serious challenge that she could get is from the further to the left of her, which, holy shit. If you go further left than Nancy Pelosi, I mean, if you're going to complain that Nancy Pelosi is not left enough for you, please bring that on. I mean,
wow. Did you know how old she is?
Is she in her early 70s now?
Oh, mid.
Really?
Yes. So I'm looking at a report. It's up on Breitbart, but it's from the AP. Tim Ryan is the guy that's challenging her. Mm. And it says she is 76 years old, but she's been promising to make some changes to assuage concerns in her caucus. Yeah, you guys have gotten decimated. I mean, yes, you managed to win 2 presidential elections. But the House turned over in, what was it, 2010 that the House turned over?
Yes.
And then you guys lost the Senate. Not that she has anything to do with that. But it's been a real mess. And they haven't been able to do anything substantive since Obamacare.
It must.
But you
really,
need somebody that's capable of the theatrics.
It's got to be so. Clearly, it's very difficult to walk away from that kind of power. I mean, here you have
certainly.
someone 76 years old who's, hanging on for dear life. Then you have, there were reports that the last time Orrin Hatch ran for the Senate from Utah, it was going to be his last. I believe he was 82 at the time, if I'm not mistaken. And now he's saying, well, you know what, maybe I'll run one more time. It's like, really? You can't think of anything to do with your life at 88? Then run again?
Mm-mm.
Can't give it up. Can't give up that power. Wow. Go back to Utah.
Please. Well, maybe we'll see the term limit stuff come to pass.
Maybe. But I just can't. I just can't believe at this point. I mean, and I believe it was a piece in National Review a few months ago that talked about how it's done in Great Britain. If your party has suffers a colossal defeat, you gone.
Yeah.
There's no coming back. Here it's like, if Mitch McConnell would have lost the Senate, chances are that there's a good possibility that he would have been the minority leader in the Senate again. Because he's just displayed fantastic leadership.
Yeah,
and
fearless.
We can't let that go for one of these young bucks, one of these wacko birds.
I'm kind of surprised there was no challenge.
No?
To either him or Ryan.
No challenge. And you would think that there would be a serious challenge, and we're going to find out today for Pelosi's gig. See how serious this really is. It must be somewhat serious that they delayed the vote.
Yeah.
I mean, this was supposed to happen, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, that could all be symbolic. They're just pretending to take this into consideration. I would bet that she wins. Wow. She's terrifying.
And she's a horrible messenger.
I would be scared to vote against her. Yes. Yeah, when you are incapable of emoting via facial, when your face doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to convey a message of caring.
Well,
stern.
Her face is made mostly of silicone and space-age polymers, so it's really hard to show any kind of emotion with that base.
So you think she's reached the singularity at this point?
Yes.
No, I mean, I don't know why she doesn't go home and tend to her vineyards.
It must be... I sit back and I watch stuff like that, and I think, God, they must really hate who they're married to. They hate their spouse.
That's potentially true. Yeah.
They can't. The idea of going back home and having living the retired life with the Mr. or Mrs. just like, shoot me. If I can't be in Washington, I hope I die.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, John McCain?
I know.
For Christ's sake. How old is he now?
He's got to be in his 80s, I would think.
And it's not like it's, okay, at least with Pelosi, it's a 2-year term. It's like, okay, all right, she's 76, 2 more years. When you're 80, 82, and you commit to 6 more years.
Yep, yeah, he's 80.
I know how my body, I'm going to be 45 here in like a week and a half, and I know how my body has changed from the age of 39 to 45. How do things change between the ages of 82 and 88? I mean, my God.
Well, I mean, what do they have to do all day?
That's true. In a lot of ways, I'm sure the Senate is like an old folks' home.
I would imagine that it smells like a hospital in there.
Yeah, they go to their Senate cafeteria and have lunch. I'm sure much of the food there is pureed. And they go back to their office. It probably is like an old folks' home.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Congress? You ever been on the Hill?
Yes. I don't. I'm sure that I went there on a school trip and went into the actual chambers. I don't remember. The only thing I remember was riding the cool little subway that they have that goes between. I think it goes between the Senate buildings and the House buildings and
but you
the
were a
actual
kid.
Capitol. Yeah.
Because I don't know how I have a feeling you feel the same way as I do. I have no interest in going there.
No, I can watch it on C-SPAN if I want to. It's incredibly boring.
Yeah, I mean, all the opportunities we've had over the years, the people we met, I'm sure I could have gone up there at some point and, gotten a nice behind-the-scenes tour. But I pass by that joint and I think, damn, that would make a nice casino.
Yes.
What a waste. What a waste.
Ugh. Shut it all down.
Yeah. Speaking of shutting down,
did
you see our boy Kanye?
Yes.
Is still in the news?
Yep.
Well, I posted something in our little article share area when we do show prep. But it actually turns out that that's an old story. There's a new story out about Kanye today.
Oh.
Fine folks over at TMZ. Kanye West, nervous breakdown, pushed over edge by anniversary of mom's funeral.
Oh, okay.
Kanye West just snapped a week ago Monday, and what we're told was a nervous breakdown triggered in large part by the anniversary of his mother's death. Okay. So I read that first sentence and I think to myself, oh my gosh, well, that's terrible. His mother must have just died like last year.
Yeah.
And that's tough. You lose a parent. You know, my mom's been dead 5 years now. Sucks. So, okay, last year, maybe he was a mama's boy. And you know how long ago? You know how long it's been since his mom died?
No.
2007.
Wow. So this is BS. Is that your thinking?
Yes. Sources very close to Kanye tell TMZ.
Kris Jenner.
He was increasingly becoming a powder keg of emotions in the weeks leading up to his hospitalization at the UCLA Medical Center.
And this is abnormal for Kanye?
I was going to say, how could anyone tell?
Right.
A powder keg of emotions in the weeks leading up to his hospitalization at the UCLA Medical Center, fueled by what we're told was a shocking lack of sleep and the pressures of touring, running his business, parenting and providing emotional support to his wife, who was suffering her own emotional trauma after the Paris robbery.
Yeah.
But our sources say the trigger for the breakdown was Donda's death back in 2007. Donda is apparently Kanye's mother. Donda West? Is that her name?
Oh, that's a fun name. Sure.
Donda?
Yeah.
People close to Kanye tell us he never effectively grieved over his mom's death and has always had a difficult time in November, but this time he reached the breaking point.
Okay.
I'm worried about Kanye.
Yeah. Well, I still think they locked him up for his political rants. Gotta go get him deprogrammed.
Oh, is that what this is, you think?
I haven't tuned in to InfoWars, but I'm sure Alex knows all about it.
Well, Kanye CIA, we all know that. CIA.
Probably is.
Poor Kanye. I mean, I go back from the very beginning of Kanye's career. I mean, I can name several of my favorite songs from Kanye, but I don't want to waste your time.
Okay, thank you.
Kanye's a genius and a gay fish.
Yes.
You know, Who got the out of the two?
Mm-hmm.
Kanye and Kim Kardashian. Who got the worst out of that deal?
That's a tough call. I think we should get a grant to study this.
Right? Can we start a GoFundMe?
Well, I mean, I did see some article, and I can't remember where, about the curse of the Kardashian men to the men that get involved with Kardashian women.
Uh-huh.
So from Bruce Jenner to Caitlyn Jenner to Kanye to Lamar Odom. It's like, and poor Rob Kardashian has turned into, what was her name? Violet from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Wow.
Has to be juiced weekly now because he's just gotten so out of control with his weight. It's really a disaster. And so maybe that's what this all is. So, and if that pans out, then Kanye got the worst of the deal.
Mm. Well, I know you've been telling me that I, need to broaden my horizons when it comes to pop culture. So I'm visiting TMZ.
Yes.
On a regular basis, and I'm trying to figure out why people visit TMZ on a regular basis. Like the story underneath Kanye and his mother breakdown. Michael Phelps, baby's first swim lessons at 6 months old, hits the pool, and then it's someone, I'm sure, raided Michael Phelps' Instagram or something to watch Michael Phelps' 6-month-old baby swim in a pool. Why would anyone click on that to watch? I don't understand. What do I give a shit about a baby in a pool?
You're not a woman. That's what you're misunderstanding here. Oh, it's so cute. It's a 6-month-old swimming.
Well, yeah, so I'm, scrolling down. I'm like, why would anybody click on this? Why would anybody click on this? Why would anybody click on this? And then I get to a piece about Lady Gaga's boyfriend.
Yes.
Who got in trouble. Apparently, he's been arrested twice for DUI or something in the last month.
Why don't these people have drivers?
I don't get it either.
Or take Uber if you don't want to keep somebody full time to drive you.
So apparently he was in her Bad Romance video.
Okay, yeah.
So then I click on the Bad Romance video. And for the next 5 minutes, I'm watching it and then rewinding it, trying to figure out if Lady Gaga is hot.
Oh, okay.
And so when I'm done with that, then I realize why people are on TMZ. And I'm ashamed that I spent 15 minutes on TMZ wasting my time trying to figure out if Lady Gaga is hot.
Well, what is the verdict?
No, she's not.
Okay. Did you apply for a grant before you
should have,
on that
damn it.
study?
I could have made $315,000, and you would have only asked for $10.
Yeah. Now, Lady Gaga is an interesting case in that she's. Do you remember the episode of Seinfeld with the Two-Face?
Yes.
Yes. I think she falls into that category.
That's exactly where I was going to go, because in the video, I'm like, oh, wow, she looks hot. Holy cow, she's hot. Wow, she's hot. And then I remember seeing a picture of her in a dress made out of meat.
Yes.
And her face looked like meat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, she's not good looking at all. Ooh. But the Bad Romance video, like, oh, wow, she's hot.
Sure. Yeah, when they made her up on last season of American Horror Story. Totally hot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this season, she's playing some weird, 17th century witch or something like this. And it took me 5 or 6 episodes to be like, oh, that's Lady Gaga. I'm not kidding you. It didn't even click to me because she looks so different. So she has one of those faces that can be completely recognizable and then totally unrecognizable based upon application of makeup.
Yeah, she looks like Bette Midler.
Yes.
If Bette Midler had been hit in the face 100 times by a New York strip steak.
Oh, man. Poor Gaga.
But isn't it how the male mind thinks?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how the level of hotness on a woman can go up just based on her body.
Sure.
It's like, okay, she's an 8. You look at her, I think a lot of guys may think, oh, she's an 8 just based on her body. But then,
Wait, excuse me. Are you rating women on a scale?
Absolutely.
Is that common practice?
I'm not going to back away from that. Yes, it is. It is a common practice. You told me women do it.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, you had. I know. But what was the scale you guys used? Your friends?
A's and B's.
A's and B's.
Yes. The touchables and the untouchables. A's being the touchables, B's being the please don't ever touch me, because I will have to file a police report.
But you're like, oh, look at her. She's got a hop in the face. You're like, oh. Well,
that's the origins of the butterface, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
She's a butterface. She's a famous butterface. Like, the one thing you never add into the equation, because it doesn't happen very often with butterfaces, is if they're incredibly rich.
Right.
And she's incredibly rich. She's got weird tattoos, too.
Of course she does.
I wonder if they're real.
I don't know. You're going to have to spend some more time on TMZ.
Yeah, see, I'm still on TMZ, and I'm looking at the damn tattoos now. Got to get off.
This is how they get you.
This is, yep. What a time suck that was.
It's terrible. Can we talk about Donald Trump's tweets now, please?
Okay, I'm watching some rapper
oh my God,
right now
stop
beating
it.
up a Donald Trump pinata on stage. But go ahead.
Of course.
I don't know who YG is. Do you know who YG is?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's talk about Donald Trump.
It sounds like he's like the Mexican cousin of Ass Jeeves. Why? YG. Yeah, so I'm fascinated by the fact that the media still hasn't understood what Trump does with his Twitter.
Right.
So they have a conniption every single time he tweets anything. And Michael Tracy, who has been great through the entire election cycle covering this and was at Vice until I believe the day or so after the election when they cut him off and kicked him out. Mm-hmm. He's now writing over at Medium, and I believe he still writes for maybe the New York Post or something. But he wrote an excellent piece the other day, tips for dealing with Trump's tweets. And he's trying to be helpful to these idiot leftists. And he's got these rules that I think are pretty spot on. Number one, you don't need to share, comment, react, or write articles about every Trump tweet. And I won't break down how he further breaks that down. I'll just read you the highlights of these. Number two, you don't need to treat every Trump tweet as 100% literal. Number three, you are allowed to simply ignore Trump tweets.
Is that possible? I don't think that's possible.
I do it all the time.
Well, if it's not the leftists who are up in arms about the tweet, it's the never Trumpers.
Correct. But rule number three, you are allowed to simply ignore these.
Wow.
Number four, recognize that many people find Trump's tweets funny.
Uh-huh.
Which I do, and I think you do as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Number five, which is the final rule, hysterically overreacting to every Trump tweet helps Trump.
Pretty much.
Yes. So I thought this was great. I hope people will share this with everybody over at CNN, perhaps, could use this lesson. A lot of the folks at MSNBC could use this lesson because they are still talking about a tweet that Trump put out yesterday. The tweet was, nobody should be allowed to burn the American flag. If they do, there must be consequences, perhaps loss of citizenship or a year in jail. Exactly. I laugh at this. You laugh at this. We understand this is, I believe, what Trump himself in his book called truthful hyperbole. Mm-hmm. Where there's a nugget of truth in all of this, and then you go full hyperbolic on it.
So how many leftists are outside of Trump Tower as we speak, burning American flags, playing right into this?
I hope hundreds. Because he doesn't actually mean this. And the beauty of these things is, this is why I say, always think evil genius, evil genius, evil genius. Hillary herself proposed criminalizing burning the American flag. It's on video when she was a senator. I believe it's from 2005. Well, she wanted a huge fine and I believe up to a year in jail.
That was a different time, Tracy.
Of course. Of course.
If only people had access to that video. But, of course, in 2016, we don't have access to video way back in 2005. If only we had the technology to be able to look back in time to see what Hillary Clinton had to say about it. But I'm looking forward to the tweet when we see 100 or 200 people outside of Trump Tower burning the American flag. Look at these anti-American leftists burning the American flag. They truly hate this country. Sad! Exclamation point.
Yes. Oh, I love that, but it doesn't top. Let me find his Fidel Castro tweet. Fidel Castro is dead! Exclamation point. 100,000 retweets on that.
Oh.
That's all you needed to say.
Yeah.
When that happened, I wish he had included those the laughing smiley face crying emojis, like 3 or 4 of those. But I appreciate that my president-elect does not use emojis because he is not a 14-year-old.
Oh, you're not a fan of emojis? What is more manly to you, a man that uses emojis or a man that wears a Snuggie?
A man that wears a Snuggie.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you didn't even need a government grant.
No, I didn't even need more than 2 seconds. And where you were going, the Snuggie wins.
Mm.
And then the next tweet after that Fidel Castro is dead tweet was the Green Party scam to fill up their coffers by asking for impossible recounts is now being joined by the badly defeated and demoralized Democrats. But then this all requires serious fact checking.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because prior to the tweet about the flag burning, everybody was absolutely apoplectic that he had made mention of the possibility that millions of votes were cast by illegally. And if not for those, he would have won the popular vote. Now, we can't possibly have that discussion. That's outside of the bounds. But crazy people talking about Russian hackers should absolutely be given airtime and lots of money.
Oh, what an age we live in. This is going to be a fun 8 years, Tracy Connors.
Oh, my God. So much fun. So much damn fun. And Fingers, did you want to talk about the mini victory for the state of Indiana?
Well, we have about a minute and a half before we bring Ashe on, so yes.
I think you can cover that in a minute and a half.
I think so, too. Of course, there was a big announcement on Wednesday from Carrier that they were going to keep 1,000 of the 1,400 jobs that they were going to send off to Mexico. They're going to keep them in Indianapolis, which was one of the things that Donald Trump ran on, and he mentioned Carrier specifically many times on the campaign trail about what a shame it was that they were going to take their jobs out of the United States and move them to Mexico, and if something like that would happen under a Trump administration, there would be consequences. Well, apparently, Donald Trump is going to be in Indianapolis either today, Thursday, or no, wait, today's Wednesday. Is today Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay, so he made that announcement on Tuesday. I apologize. I believe he's going to be in Indianapolis on Thursday. Thursday at the Carrier plant with Vice President-elect Mike Pence as they make a formal announcement. Great news for Central Indiana, great news for Indianapolis. I'm shocked at some of the reaction I'm seeing from the right. Almost disappointed. I think it's fair to say that that Carrier has decided to keep jobs in the United States. Now, I'm not for the president-elect threatening corporations, making them fearful to make decisions based on the best interest of their company. But if there was some negotiation that went on and they were able to use some of the tactics that local governments use, tax abatements, whatever, to keep these jobs in the the United States, I don't know why conservatives would be upset with it. And if your main argument is, I thought conservatives were for the free market. Well, okay, that's not exactly a winning argument with people who are losing their jobs. The government should do nothing. Okay, well, in an ideal world, the government would do nothing, wouldn't pick winners and losers. I agree with you 100%. But when you're seeing towns like my hometown in Saginaw die over the past 40 years, and your argument is, feh.
Let them eat Snuggies.
Yeah. Well, okay. Enjoy losing elections. We don't even know what the deal had. We don't know the details of what was negotiated. Let's find out before we just start shitting all over it because it happens to, this announcement benefits a politician you disagree with. I don't get it. What do you think, Tracy? We got 30 seconds.
Well, I mean, I read somewhere, and I can't remember where, and I don't think I added it to our little roundup of show prep, but that Carrier is part of a larger corporation that actually gets big contracts, I believe defense contracts or something from the feds.
Mm-hmm.
So there could have been pressure put on them from that angle. And you can whine and bitch about the free market all you want. We're nowhere near that.
Yeah.
So they're totally entangled with the federal government, and they're reliant on them now for a huge portion of their budget. And so, you can say, hey, here's the stick. Here's the carrot, too. We're going to cut the hell out of corporate taxes. You guys want to stick around or what?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like at one point I'm old enough to remember when the right talked about on a regular basis that we need to cut regulations, make the United States more business friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And if he did that and said, okay, this is what we're going to do in a Trump administration. This is what we're going to push for. This is what I can do from the executive branch to make things easier on Carrier. And they looked at it and they were like, okay, we'll keep the jobs here. Then why would anyone on our side have a problem with that?
It's not that they have a problem with it. They have a problem with Trump, and they don't want him to succeed.
Good times. It's going to be a fun 8 years.
Yes.
Let's bring on Ashe Schow.
All right.
Ashe left the Washington Examiner and now works for watchdog.org.
Hey.
And so we're going to talk to Ashe about that. Ashe Schow is here.
Hey.
Ashe, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Excellent.
Very good, thank you. I was going to say very great. And that just doesn't sound right. Very great? How can you be
Sounds
very
like you're
great?
copying me.
Yeah, there you go. Well, who doesn't copy you, Ashe? I know people at the Blaze do, but the people at the Blaze, they copy everyone. Hey, but you, Ashe, you don't have to comment on that. You got a new gig.
Yes, I did. I left the Examiner and went to watchdog.org.
Well, for those people out there who are not familiar with watchdog.org, tell us a little bit about it.
It's basically the investigative journalism outlet funded by the Franklin Center, another conservative think tank. And, I mean, they focus on investigations, and they brought me on to do the campus stuff that I love to do so much, to write about free speech and due process and the issues that are happening on college campuses right now. It's new territory for them, so they're some of them were a little I don't know, nervous definitely isn't the word, but more like excited to just learn about the issue and what they could contribute to it, and I was going to be a kind of a different voice for them, so they were really excited, and it was really nice to be brought on board with a place that cares so much about these issues.
So are we talking campus sexual assault, or are you going to write about campus free speech issues as well?
Both.
Excellent.
Well, that's fantastic. Where can people find that work?
Watchdog.org.
Well, you wrote about the election. You're also writing, of course, over at the New York Observer as well. And tell us a little bit about the latest piece that you wrote regarding Jill Stein and the recount.
Yes, this whole Jill Stein recount is just a complete fraud. I mean, I think the Pennsylvania deadline was several weeks ago, and yet she was still raising money for it. And, this whole thing is going to end up hurting Democrats because the Green Party is going to take votes away from Democrats rather than Republicans. I mean, they're basically an extreme leftist, like crazy side in the way that the left claims that the right has an extreme crazy side. So anytime anything that raises the Green Party profile is actually going to end up hurting Democrats. So Hillary Clinton giving a legitimacy to this recount effort when all sides acknowledge they have absolutely no evidence of any kind of tampering. They're just, we just want to make sure. Or if Trump had said that, there would have been such an outrage from the left, from the media, from everybody being like, he's not accepting the results, and oh my God, what an outrage. When they're completely doing the exact same thing that they mocked Trump and his supporters for prior to Hillary losing the election.
What I can't figure out is, okay, you have the Green Party that has stepped back and said, okay, we do not support what Jill Stein is doing. But what are Jill Stein's supporters thinking? I mean, obviously she's raising money, so she must have some support when it comes to doing this. But is she getting the money from Jill Stein's supporters who didn't like Hillary Clinton, but they hate Donald Trump more than Hillary? Or is this a Hillary Clinton fan-backed recount and Jill Stein is just driving the bus?
I mean, I think it might be more of the Hillary fan. They just can't possibly believe that she could have lost the election. Because what did the polls show? What did the media tell us? What did all of these intellectual elites say? There's no way she could have lost. The only way she could have lost is if the Russians hacked the election, which, if you recall 2012, Mitt Romney talking about anything to do with Russia, he was made fun of. Hey, the Cold War called, it wants its policy back, right?
Right.
So now you have all of them saying, Russia is evil, Russia is doing this, Russia is rigging our elections and stealing our elections and doing all of this stuff, and we need to stop it. We need to raise these millions of dollars to ensure that the people's votes really were counted, but only in these 3 states that we really, really think we should have won. So just like Al Gore back in 2000, only wanting to recount counties where he thinks he could have won or should have won.
Yeah, have you been able to ascertain, Ashe, why it's only these 3 states?
Well, because they voted for Obama. They have these 3 states have voted Democrat since the 1980s, and now all of a sudden they vote Republican, and Trump won them narrowly, right? So narrowly by these standards, which is 20 to 30,000 votes. I think he won Michigan by about 10,000 votes. And so when you're looking at that and you're saying Democrats win these states, these are Democrat states, and he won them narrowly, oh, well, that must have been rigged at this point. They're not going to bring up, Alabama or Georgia or any red-leaning state where not those states. Trump won them by good margins. But if there was a traditionally red-leaning state where Trump won by 20, 30,000 votes, then they're not going to recount that because it's traditionally red. They want it because they don't believe these states are swing states, that it's possible, even though, as we watched in the run-up to the election, Hillary Clinton's team knew that there was a problem in these states, and that's why they sent Obama to Michigan the day before the election, because they knew there was a problem in these states. They had ignored it for so long, and it was too late by the time they figured it out.
Well, and she lost Michigan in the primary to Bernie, and the polls were, 20 points? They had given her something outrageous like that?
Right, exactly. I mean, she had lost some of these states in the primary to Bernie Sanders, so it shouldn't have been like that a surprise that these states didn't really like Hillary Clinton. And if you looked at some of the things that they liked about Bernie Sanders, it's going to be this TPP free trade and punishing, companies for hiring American workers or the taxes or whatever. These things were things that Trump also echoed. As Fingers had been telling us all year that, they're Reagan Democrats out here that are seeing their jobs disappear. And I love, the idea that it doesn't matter how many Vox articles claim that this isn't happening. When you see your coworkers disappearing and this is what you're hearing, then it does not matter what Vox says.
Yeah, it's hard to convince people that their reality that they live every day is not real.
Right. That on a whole, this is what's happening. And it doesn't matter what your individual experience is, because as a whole, this is happening. Well, it's like, well, I only care about my individual experience, and my individual experience is running completely counter to what your supposed data is saying.
Sure, and she made no play to get Bernie voters.
No, she did with the I'm going to give you free college and then changing TPP, but nobody believed her. Because It was like, you're only doing that because of Bernie. There was no attempt to really prove that this is what I really believe. It was all lies. It was just, no, I never supported TPP. I had only said that, I would look into it. It's like, we have you on video claiming it as the gold standard. You can't pretend that didn't happen.
No, and what was it? She said something, basement dwellers is what I believe she called them.
And then talking about living in their parents' basement. When these things come out and you're just insulting people that you're supposed to be trying to win over, it's just not going to work. And so I don't doubt that there was at least in the millions of people that live in those states, at least 10, 20, 30,000 that were affected by that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Vox readers will believe that factory workers care about transgender bathrooms more than their jobs, so...
Absolutely. When you're an assembly line of all men, you really, really worry about that.
No, we talked about that quite often on this show, and going back last year on the Snark Factor, that Trump could very easily carry Michigan and Pennsylvania. Was shocked by Wisconsin. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think that he was going to be able to do that, but it was clear early on that he was addressing issues that people in the Rust Belt care about.
Right, and that's something that, when the polls were showing him down consistently, except for that brief couple weeks period in I think September or something, when the polls consistently showed him down, and there was all of this, and I was of this too, that Rubio or maybe even Ted Cruz or one of the other Republican candidates might be running away in the polls at this point. When I look at the states that actually ended up voting for Trump, I'm thinking, I don't think Rubio could have gotten Wisconsin. I don't think he could have gotten Michigan. And maybe he could have gotten Pennsylvania. Maybe he could have gotten some other of, maybe he could have gotten Virginia. I don't know. But I don't think he would have gotten Michigan and Wisconsin, which starts to think maybe Trump really was the only person that could have beat Hillary. Because I don't think any other Republican could have spoken to Rust Belt voters the way that Trump did.
I totally agree with that. I think it's wishful thinking and a total misunderstanding, because I don't think any of them would have fought her as hard either as he did. And I don't think they would have been able to withstand the attacks that he did, which would have come at them as well.
Right, exactly. And I mean, then you have, Jeb Bush apologizing for saying things that reporters took out of context. That I'm sorry that I worded things in such a way that you were able to take it out of context and attack me. Why are you apologizing for dishonest reporters? That is insane.
Right. So, Ashe, you weren't part of the reporter cadre that got called to Trump Tower and told that you were a liar, right?
Yeah, apparently. Us New York Observer, Jared Kushner people getting called up there.
Yeah. Did you happen to see the article in Forbes about Jared?
I've seen some articles. I've tried not to read them.
Okay. Well, it was pretty impressive, a little behind the scenes look on how he was
really
genius.
Yeah, it really does seem like, other than Kellyanne Conway, Jared might have been the factor that helped win Trump the election. That he had some data, he had, a whole lot of the mindset behind this that really ended up helping.
Yeah, and I think it helps that he wasn't a traditional consultant type that just said, we're going to go with the existing model and just put our stuff out that way. We're going to go TV, big spends, and all this.
Yeah. And I mean, and Trump, what did he was like outspent by Hillary by like 2-1 to come back and win with such a large electoral win is still just hilarious to me. That like, oh, we're talking about the $1 billion campaigns and look at how much it took Obama to win and, you know, how much McCain and Romney had raised only to lose. And Trump did not do that. And now you can say that Trump team didn't really expect him to win and that it was kind of a surprise to them as well. But I mean, just look at what they did. And this might change the face of campaigns in the future. And it might also kind of do away with a whole lot of the Citizens United claims. I mean, outside groups didn't really like Trump. So I don't think they were spending like they were on Hillary. And he wasn't raising these unlimited funds. Hillary was. So it's kind of like, oh, all your arguments for Citizens United kind of in the trash right now.
You can follow Ashe on Twitter at Ashe Schow. And, of course, you can read her work at the New York Observer and watchdog.org. Thanks, Ashe. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for having me on.
That was Ashe.
That was excellent. I'm stoked for her to be over at Watchdog. We love those guys.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that's it, Tracy. Why don't we call it a day?
Okay.
You gots to go.
I do gots to go.
Well, our thanks go out to Ashe Schow. Where can everyone find the Enough Already podcast, Tracy?
You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Facebook, and at EnoughAlreadyPodcast.com.
And I want to thank everyone out there who has shared the Enough Already podcast with their friends on social media, on the Facebooks there, Tracy, on the Twitters, on the MySpace, the LiveJournal, Yahoo GeoCities. Keep it up. We appreciate it. And, of course, music for the Enough Already podcast is provided to us courtesy of YoPolymusic.com. Anything else, Tracy?
I don't think so. Just stay tuned to Trump's Twitter feed if you want to know what the hell the media is going to be talking about for the next few days. And he's about to launch his victory tour, Fingers.
I saw that.
So he will be, like you said, in Indiana on Thursday. I believe he's also going to be in Ohio on Thursday. I'm hoping he comes to Pennsylvania to thank the Russian immigrants who live in Northeast Philadelphia for, you know, complying with his orders to hack the machines.
Will he visit Moscow?
Oh, absolutely.
Give a
Are you kidding? He's going to be sworn in from the steps of the Kremlin. They're going to drag out Lenin's mummy to sit next to him.
Oh, good times. All right, that's it for us. Follow me on Twitter at Fingers Malloy. Follow Tracy on Twitter at Tracy L. Connors. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with an all-new Enough Already podcast next week.